The views and opinions on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of ESPN Tucson 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, or the Arizona Lotus Corporation.
Welcome to Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson.
Justin Spears, I like that.
With Justin Spears and Ali Farhang on 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, ESPN Tucson. Brought to you by Tucson Federal Credit Union, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, and Rightway Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
I want to be entertaining, but I'm not stupid enough to compare myself to Ali.
Man, we are approaching the month of March, and that means a lot of madness here in Tucson, Arizona, especially when the Arizona Wildcats basketball team is killing it. And Arizona, number 2 in the country. They've won 3 straight games without star forward Koa Pete, and now they've got the revenge game against Kansas coming up here on Saturday. We'll be talking about all things Arizona Wildcats basketball, and also we'll talk about those facility upgrades at Casino del Sol Stadium. And, when I was thinking about guests for this week, I was like, it hit me, and I'm like, holy cow, why didn't I not do this? Why have I not thought about this before? Because these guys have had me on their podcast so many times, and I always enjoy whenever I go on AZ Wildcats and just talk about whatever. We always talk about Arizona Wildcats first and foremost, but sometimes the conversation gets off the rails, but it's a good conversation, and we always have a good time. And that is our guys from the AZ Wildcats podcast. We got our guy Kevin Thomas joining us here, and Damon Farrell maybe overslept. I don't know. You guys are such a great tandem, Kevo. I was looking forward to having Damon be a part of the show, but I think he's sleeping through his alarm right now. His alarm is going off, and right now he's in the club in his dreams dancing to said alarm right now. What's going on, Kevin?
No, what up, Justin? Thanks for having me. It's early for the dog. You know what I mean? Sometimes you wake your dog up and you're trying to go outside, and the dog is like, no, I need another hour. And it's all good. It's all good. You got to do what you got to do. We're busy men. You're as are you. And sometimes you make a morning commitment and you wake up a little half hour later, you're like, maybe should have pushed that back to the 8:25 slot. You know what I mean? But thanks for having me, Justin. It's a great time. March is near.
Yes, sir, man. No, it's great to have you on, Kevin. And honestly, like when I scheduled this, I was like, I'm mindful of folks like you guys, because you guys are always up late at night. I know that you're a night owl. I know that Damon, spends his time in the wee hours of the morning. So I was like, man, if I can get these guys up for an 8 a.m. interview, we'll see. But Kevin, you came through. Damon, I still love you. You're still my dog. But Kevin, we got a number of things to talk about, including Arizona Wildcats basketball, and March is coming up, and one thing about this team is that I feel like every test they've had this year, they have figured out ways to overcome it. We've seen them win in dominant fashion. And we've also seen them win some rock fights. I go all the way back to non-conference play when they lost or when they won a low-scoring game against UCLA. And then the game against Baylor, I thought that, it was 87-80, not a low-scoring game by any means, but still a back-and-forth game and really a slugfest, and a game that Arizona really had to grind out. And so I look at, like, the resume of Arizona, and I got to be honest with you, Kevin, to me, it's Final Four or bust, maybe even national championship or bust, because I think that this team, everything they've shown this year, they've got the mental fortitude, they've got the toughness, they've got everything that is a national championship team. What's your thoughts on the latest stretch of games for the Arizona Wildcats and how they look going into March?
Man, this was like a very vindicating stretch, at least for me personally, because I've been on the train of like, I've never had more faith in a basketball team than this year's team. I've never believed more that this could be the year than this year's team. But everything they've done since Koa Pete's gone down with whatever lower leg injury it was has proven to me that this team has all the horses to make that Final Four run, like you said. I don't know. It's hard for me to be like Final Four or bust because the margins are so small in March and anything can happen and whatever. But it does feel that way, right? Like this level of talent, this level of poise in big moments, the level of balance, the defense, the coaching, like it all seems to be there this year for Arizona. And so, yeah, I think the expectations are crazy. I think this stretch of games where you beat BYU, albeit without Richie Saunders, but they still have a top 3 undisputed pick on that side who's damn near unguardable. I know how some people feel about his, propensity for flopping. I don't love it either as a viewer, but as a opponent, I'm sure you're not worried about his foul baiting. You're worried about him getting buckets on your head. So I think that this stretch right, from Arizona, BYU, Houston on the road. Like, that's a win I'll remember for a long time. Like, that performance was immense. It was incredible. And then the Baylor game, you survived, right? Like Tommy Lloyd said it after the game. That was like one of those just hang in there games where like you're going to get tested. Baylor's season kind of on the line in that game in many ways. This is a team trying to make the tournament in Baylor. They've had a bad year with some good players like Cameron Carr, like Tunde Yesufu, and you're going to get their best punch, and you definitely got Cam Carr's best punch. What do you have, 26? So, yeah, I think Arizona to be banged up. I think Tobe Awaka, rolled his ankle in that game. I think he's fine. My point is nobody was 100% in that game, it felt like, outside of maybe like Yvonne or whatnot. What an insane stretch, right? Like, I feel like it vindicated all our confidence in this year's team.
So I went on Sirius XM radio yesterday, and they asked me the question of when did you really feel like this Arizona team was legit? Like, when did you feel like, okay, this team ain't messing around this year. They're a damn good team. And I said the UConn game. Beating Florida, the defending national champs. I mean, the fact that they got off to such a sluggish start and then overcame that big-time deficit. I thought that was big time, but, Florida, they had some new faces, and they're still trying to figure out their roster. And, they had some other impressive wins, too, like UCLA. But to me, going on the road in Storrs, Connecticut, true road environment, playing against a tough UConn team, that win, I mean, heck, UConn beat the brakes off of St. John's yesterday by 32 points. To me, that was the moment when I realized, all right, Arizona, they're for real. What was that moment for you this season?
I haven't thought about that yet, Justin. It's a really good question. I mean, classic Justin Spears, prone to asking really good questions. But I think there were almost like three levels of knowledge with this year's team. Like, I think night one, after that game against Florida, I came away like, wow, like we have something here, not just on paper, but on the court as well. And then Koa Pete goes for 30 in that game. And all of a sudden you're thinking, is he going to average like 18, 7, and 3? Like this is a nuts freshman. Yeah. And then Braden Burries is kind of, I'll say, struggling out of the gates to find his footing at the college level. It didn't take him that long, but there were those concerns of like, is he exactly the player we thought he was? So like night one, like you said, I'm not really like all in, like this is title town time, right? But I think the first level of understanding what we had here was Florida and being like, okay, this is the team that just cut down the nets. Our freshmen just put up 30 on their all-star front court. We got something here. And then like you said, you go on that stretch of UConn, like Auburn, Alabama. And I think once we beat Alabama, I was like, okay, we've now faced just about every style of basketball that's going to be requisite to win in March. You face Florida with the front court, UCLA with the we're not as skilled as you, but we're going to beat the hell out of you. You've now beaten Auburn with their style of having talent, athletes, strength, being well coached. I know it's, the sun and all that stuff, but it's still the same sets that his dad had because it was early on in the season. You can't really put in a whole new game plan. So that Auburn game means something. And then the Alabama game. That was the last thing I needed to see of like, can they get outshot by a three-point shooting team? Can they batten down the hatches on the perimeter and make sure that Aiden Holloway, LeBaron Philon can't get going? They were able to do that. And then I think, honestly, through conference play, it was more of the same. The third level, the final level of confidence, Justin, I just reached it. That Houston win, the Baylor win, the BYU win. Like I said, it vindicated things, and that's kind of what I was getting at of like, I had some suspicions that this team was for real. And like, they proved that, but doing it without Koa Pete on the road in Houston, different level of sauce, just different level. So yeah, I think that the three levels, I know it's not a direct one-to-one answer, but that's kind of how I've experienced this season, I feel like. And
honestly, that's a very spot-on assessment of the season, really. And I mean, the Houston game without Koa Pete on the road, you can make an argument that might be Tommy Lloyd's best win at Arizona, right?
Yeah, it might be.
Okay.
It really might be. Because I haven't gone back and looked at it, but like just off the top of my head, like he hasn't made it past the Sweet 16, right? And so it's not like he has a big win in March that's like, whoa, how did he do that? I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. That's been the one boogeyman for Arizona since they got in the Big 12, right? And even a little bit before. Like Houston has been an unbeatable beast. So to do that in their house, to kind of out Houston in Kelvin Sampson's house, off top of my head, that has to be his best win so far. Yeah,
absolutely, man. talking with our guy Kevin Thomas from the AZ Wildcats podcast on PHNX, right here on ESPN Tucson. Kevin, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, Damien can get out of his slumber and join us for the second half of this conversation. But we've got one game on Saturday against Kansas, and then another one against Iowa State coming up here on Monday, which is Ollie's birthday. And we're going to have some senior day festivities, and I wanted you to talk about the three seniors that will be honored, like Jaden Bradley, Anthony Delorso, and Tobe Awaka. When you look at those three guys and what they mean to Arizona, how do you put that into words, and how do you look back on their time as a Wildcat?
Man, it's tough to put those three guys into words because all three of their journeys at Arizona have been so unique. But I think, like, in a sentence, I'll say, like, you don't have a title level team without those three individuals, right? Like, you can get caught up in the Braden Burries, the Koa Pete, like the Mo Krivoses, the Ivan Karchenkovs, but you don't have a team without Jaden Bradley. He is the general, the metronome is what I called him last season. Like, he keeps this team on pace. He's never changing his pace. He's always on steady movement forward for this team. And I think about, like, this transfer portal era and, guys that are a great advertisement for what it could be. There are different things, different reasons you might enter the transfer portal, right? But I think if you are trying to, develop and win basketball games, I think Jaden Bradley is an incredible advertisement for what modern basketball can be. Like, I think that going from a power program like Alabama, being a point guard there, and making I don't know what you want to call it, upgrade, lateral move, whatnot, to Arizona, and not really being like the guy initially, right? Kind of coming off the bench for Boswell, contributing where he could, and then he has that Clemson game. And I feel like ever since then, he's really taken the what's the word? The handles, I'll say, of this team. Yes, taking the reins of this team, and it's been his team ever since. And I don't think that you would know better than me, Justin, but I don't know when the last time Arizona's had a leader at point guard like Jaden Bradley, right? Like, it feels like everybody follows his lead. It feels like there's unwavering trust. He's maybe the least selfish player on the basketball team, which is saying something this year. I think that kid is incredibly special. He's 2 years younger than me, but that guy is, incredibly special. And whether he makes it in the NBA long-term or not, I think his time in Arizona will be fondly remembered by every Wildcat fan. Tobe Awaka, I'll keep this one a little sweeter and shorter. That's one of the greatest rebounding guys I've ever seen in my life. Pro, amateur, high school, college. Like, the way that dude rebounds is nuts. I know maybe some of you guys have or haven't seen Doctor Strange, but when he finds, like, early after his accident, goes to the temple and he gets spirit punched in the chest and his soul flies out of his body. That's how I liken it to be an opponent of Tobe Awaka when he's backing you down or trying to seal you for a rebound. Like, what do you do with that guy? He is, like, however many pounds he is, 99% of it's muscle. And so how do you move that guy? How do you, like, he's going to be a professional basketball player because he has an elite skill. Right? Like they say, to make it to the league, you got to have one elite skill. He's got maybe the most elite rebounding in the country. And there are some really good rebounders this year as well. So, absolutely, man, Tobe Awaka, special talent. ADO, another good advertisement for the portal, like coming from a lower level school to a big level school, but really a testament to what the strength and conditioning program at Arizona can be. I said that on the show the other day. Like, if you're Chris Rounds, if you're J-Rock, as Tommy Lloyd calls him, you gotta post this ADO like before and after to your Instagram at some point. Clients will roll in because after that Duke game, ADO's been very open. He goes to Chris Rounds and he goes to J-Rock and says, I got to get bigger, mate. And they go, for sure. We will help you. And all of a sudden, he can play in the Big 12. All of a sudden, he can face dudes up. He can play better defense. He can, his game has evolved so crazily since arriving in Arizona that the coaching staff, the strength and conditioning crew, they should be using him as a testimonial. They should have like one of those early 2000s, call this number to reach Tommy Lloyd, and you too can be like Anthony Delorso. You know what I mean? Like those three guys should be should never buy another beer in Tucson in their life. You know what I mean?
Paid programming.
Yes.
Those ads on TVs that would come on like after random things that you'd watch. You're like, okay, time to change the channel.
Yeah, after the George Lopez show.
Yes.
You get Tommy Lloyd being like, you could also be Anthony Delorso. And I'm like, all right, it's time to go to bed.
All right, Kevo, before we get you out of here, Arizona football announced that there will be some changes coming to Casino del Sol Stadium. Among the changes, we're talking about a new sound system, modernized video boards, which I think is outstanding. And then there's also going to be a sideline change, too. The Wildcats will be going from the east side, from the Zona Zoo, or right in front of the Zona Zoo, to the west side. Now moving the visitors to the east side of the stadium. I think putting those guys on, the sunny side, because it's those day games, that sun, it gets hot on that side of the stadium, and then to put them in front of the Zona Zoo, I'm like, damn, this makes way too much sense. Out of all the upgrades and the things that came out yesterday, which one was your favorite?
Justin, I'm not the biggest stadium updates guy. I love them, but I'm not like, I don't think they're that consequential for the teams. But I do think that this one matters, right? Like moving the sideline thing, that's one of those things that feels like it's like a selfie stick. Like it was right there for anyone to do, but why didn't we do it sooner, right? Like it makes so much sense. And I feel like so many teams build their arenas around creating an advantage for the home side. Like the Seahawks, don't they have like a pretty much a super sound, like a big boom box as their arena, where like the sound just goes up, comes back like a smoker and just cooks the other team? Like I feel like that's something, as Arizona being in Tucson, that you're going to be like, how can we fry the other team that comes in? Like, how can we make sure that they're on the sunny side? Why are we putting ourselves through this? Right. So that one felt obvious. I heard you talking about this before I joined, but the video board, like in the modern era, I agree with, I don't know who was saying it. Maybe it was Andrew, but people should probably be in the moment more. But if you are going to record the video board, like doing media like Justin and I do, sometimes you just need, like, you want to record it to try to get it out on social for people that aren't at the game to see, like, oh, Caleb Love is here today. He's on the big board. Woo, right? But if it's just, it's impossible to record, it's hard to do, and it's very frustrating. So yeah, I'm happy for just quality of life stuff getting upgraded at Arizona Stadium. Casino del Sol at Arizona Stadium.
Dude, yeah, it's still taking a while for me, man. It took me a while for me to get used to saying Big 12 instead of Pac 12. So yeah, we're still in that. But I'm excited for the lights, man. The lights flickering. I'm like, I don't know if you're a WWE guy, Kevin, but I'm like,
huge, big time.
Red line intro, have these Wildcats coming out looking like Kane from WWE. I'm here, man.
Noah Fafita comes out, does his bow and arrow, and like the fire just boom.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be electric.
We're cooking with grease, man. That is our guy, Kevin Thompson, co-host of the AZ Wildcats podcast on PHNX. PHNX, I mean, they're doing a fantastic job, not just with the Wildcats, but all things professional sports up there in the Valley. Make sure you check them out on YouTube, PHNX Sports. The AZ Wildcats podcast is cooking up. What do you guys got next? What's on the docket today?
2 p.m. show today. I'll be co-hosting McKale Madness with our guy Corey Williams, and I'm sure you guys have all heard of him before.
Hell yeah.
That'll be 7 p.m. tonight, and then sometime this week, I'm trying to churn out a big board, Justin, for this NBA draft upcoming. It has been a beast to take on in like a week and a half time span, but I'm trying to get that out. I keep talking about it. I promise it's coming out, but we'll see how many Wildcats in my top 25.
Ooh, okay, interesting. I'm not gonna ask. I'll just read it. I was like, where is Koa Pete going? But
I'll give you the range. I'll give you the range. He's still lottery for me.
Still lottery. Okay.
He is. I haven't moved off the Koa. I have not sold my Koa Pete stock yet.
Okay. That's our guy, Kevin Thomas from the AZ Wildcats podcast. Check out his work at gophnx.com and PHNX on YouTube. And then McKale Madness tonight, 7 o'clock. Kevin, Corey Williams, they'll be talking all things Arizona Wildcats podcast. Always a good time with McKale Madness. Kevin, you're the man. I love you. Appreciate you. And let's do this again soon, man.
Yeah. No, you the man. Yeah, no, definitely have me on anytime you want, Justin.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate you, man. We are joined by the amazing Eric Cohen, co-host of Wildcat Country, also Sportsline expert. Eric, it is always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for joining us. And before we talk about this Arizona-Kansas game on Saturday and the latest with U of A hoops and looking ahead to the madness that is March, I wanted to talk about something that recently happened this week. And Arizona came out and they announced that at Casino del Sol Stadium, there will be upgrades. Among the upgrades, you're going to have an updated sound system. You're also going to have modernized video boards because, according to the press release, the bulbs or whatever it is in the video boards, they don't manufacture them anymore. So, rather than having a potential like black square in the middle of the video board during the football season, they're like, okay, let's just go ahead and buy the stuff now. So, we are prepared. And then they're also going to have the lights too. They're going to have new lights to, maybe add to the pyrotechnics and, give Arizona a light show leading up to games, maybe celebratory moments. I would imagine, the WWE person in me came out and was like, oh man, red line, having red bulbs and having that stadium look all red, looking like Kane is about to walk out for WWE. I think that would be so sweet. And then my favorite upgrade, Eric, is moving the team from the east sideline over to the west sideline, which would move the visitors over to the other sideline, putting them right in front of the Zona Zoo. And for day games, the sun is baking the visiting team. I think that is the best move. What's your opinion on all these upgrades?
I agree with you completely. I was just going to say moving the team over to the west sideline makes the most sense. And it's also good because this means likely that we'll have more day games, which I think we all love. Those of us that have to drive down a couple hours each way, those of us that have to cover the game, not me, speaking to you, who have to cover the game and don't want to be there until midnight. So yeah, listen, that's an upgrade. We obviously want more day games. The pyrotechnics are great. The scoreboard's great. The audio system absolutely needed to be upgraded. We needed to hear our buddy Jeff Dean more clearly. I like to sit in the north end zone. So I know that they are upgrading bathrooms around the place, which is great. I mean, get rid of the troughs. So I think all guys will agree that those need to go. But for me, in the north end zone, you can't hear anything that he's saying, basically. So over the PA. So I think that's important. The video boards are nice. These are good upgrades. What I think they need to worry about next, call me crazy, Justin, is a canopy over parts of the stadium. So you want to get people in day games. How they did it at whatever Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, where they put that little canopy up on both sides. Get Arizona Stadium and Desiree Reed-Francois and Arizona's athletic department, they need to look into that. And sorry, Casino del Sol Stadium, my bad on that. But It's habit. They need to look into the canopy idea. That will be important, in my opinion.
I think that'd be big time because there are a couple of games that kick off at noon, and in those situations, it doesn't matter where you're at in the stadium, you are going to be baked in the sun. And I feel like Arizona fans knowing, okay, there's a canopy. Yes, it's a day game, but I'm going to be under a shaded structure. Then you're going to be more inclined to go because that was one thing that I heard a lot last year was, hey, I know we said no more Pac-12 after dark games, but I didn't mean the complete other way and having games start at noon where I'm just getting sunburned. So maybe a canopy will be like, okay, yes, the game is starting at noon, but I'm going to go and support my Cats because I was actually disappointed with the attendance last year at Arizona Stadium.
It was very disappointing. But how about a retractable canopy? I don't even know if this is possible, but if they were to do that, where you could have it up for day games but not for night games, I think that would be a huge upgrade and would get more people in the seats.
Absolutely. Talking with Eric Cohen from Wildcat Country right here on ESPN Tucson. Real quick, one more thing on the football front. Looking at off-season acquisitions in the portal, retaining Daggy, retaining obviously Danny Gonzalez, getting Brent Brennan that contract extension. The vibes seem a lot better this year than it did last year, right? I mean, now last year or this year, we don't know how Arizona is going to look this year, right? We don't know if they're going to win 9 games. There's still a lot to be determined. But overall, vibes significantly better. How do you feel about the current state of Arizona football?
7-5 minimum, 8-4 realistic, 10-2 dream is next year. That's the way that I look at it. I don't know that you can repeat what we saw, but I think get to a bowl game, be above 500, play exciting football, and end Noah Fafita's Arizona career in a good way. He's had some interesting seasons, albeit 2024, 2025, and 2023 were great. 2024 stunk let's end with another great year. And Noah's going to break every passing record at Arizona. And that's what we as fans want to see. Exciting football. Yeah.
Greatest quarterback of all time?
At Arizona, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can argue with that. You know, Foles did win a Super Bowl MVP, but Foles only played 3 years at Arizona, transferred from Michigan State. I think that Noah Fafita will go down as the best quarterback ever to play at Arizona.
All right, Eric, now let's talk about this game coming up here on Saturday. Arizona, last time they played against Kansas, they lost that game. Maybe we'll see some faces that weren't in that game out there in Lawrence, Kansas, like maybe Koa Pete, Koa Pete did play him, excuse me. We're talking about Darren Peterson. Mm-hmm. You know, Darren Peterson comes back. I would imagine he's going to put up one hell of a performance against Arizona. How do you feel about this game?
I think Arizona blows out Kansas. I think it's a double-digit win. The line is 8.5 right now, and I'll lay the 8.5 points. I think Arizona puts it on them. If Koa comes back, even in a 20 to 25 minute capacity, I think the revenge angle, the McKale Center angle, Darren Peterson is playing selfish basketball right now. He's a talented guy, but as we saw with BYU when they played Arizona the other week, AJ DeBonsa did what he wanted to do, and the team still lost. And the team really was never in the game. You know, late, the Wildcats kind of took their foot off the gas. What I think could be most important for Arizona is depth. Is Del Orso going to be better with his ankle than he was the other day? And will Dwayne Arizote be back? I believe Tommy Lloyd said yesterday that he was practicing again. Arizona needs that 8th guy. Now, C.D. Gay has been better than I expected. Evan Nelson, you know, for a couple minutes here or there, fine. Arizote will make a difference. I think Arizona wins this game by somewhere between 10 and 15 points.
Okay, and who do you think is going to be the guy, the one player that we're talking about coming up here on Monday?
Braden Burries. I made a case on this last episode of Wildcat Country against Shane Dale that I think Braden Burries is most valuable to Arizona right now. If you were to take off each individual player right now, which would hurt Arizona the most? And I think the way he has been playing for the last 4 to 6 weeks, Braden Burries is that answer. Now, Jaden Bradley, you could say, you know, the senior point guard, etc. But Burries is playing fearless basketball right now on both ends of the court, and I love it.
You know, we're getting ready to, embrace the Big 12 tournament this upcoming week. Is there one team that concerns you as far as like beating Arizona? Who's the one team that you're scared of if you're the Arizona Wildcats?
Iowa State. And Houston. I think the game on Monday is going to be very close. I would not be surprised if Iowa State came in here and beat Arizona. Wouldn't shock me. Now, listen, I've been to one game at McKale Center all year. It was Texas Tech. Whoops. I guess I was bad luck. I will not be going this weekend just out of principle. As much as I'd love to go tomorrow against Kansas, I don't want to be that jinx. With that said, Iowa State scares me. They're a very good defensive team and can turn it on offensively as well. I believe they will smash Texas Tech tomorrow and set up a titanic matchup on Monday at McKale Center. That is going to be an epic basketball game. But you know what, Justin? If you win 2 out of the last 3, if you beat Iowa State, you beat Kansas, you beat Colorado. So win all 3 of them, you clinch a 1 seed. Doesn't matter what you do in the Big 12 tournament. Stay healthy, and it's going to be an incredible March, I think.
Oh, man, I saw I don't know if you saw the projected bracket for Arizona, like the NCAA one. Texas was in there, so you get some Sean Miller action. Some Gonzaga was also like the 3 seed. So I'm like, man, Arizona could play against Sean Miller and Mark Few. Oh, sign me up for the. I love that.
And you look at the other. I mean, Purdue, I think, was the 2 seed in Arizona's bracket. Yeah, Purdue last night couldn't beat Michigan State, who I believe they are better than, on their home court. So you know what? To me, Purdue doesn't scare me. I think Arizona is in a class with Michigan and Duke. I would also throw UConn on the outside of that. Houston has taken a step back. Iowa State is good. I'm not sure they're Arizona good consistently. I think there are no excuses, if healthy, Justin, that the Wildcats should be in the Final Four. No excuses.
All right, real quick, Eric. NFL Scouting Combine is this week. Let's say you were on the clock, you were choosing for a team, and it's like, okay, we need a defensive back. Which one of the Arizona Wildcats are you choosing?
Genesis Smith. The physical tools are there. The guy is a stud. It's about motivation. If he is motivated, I think that guy can become a very good NFL player.
I agree, man. That is our guy, Eric Cohen from Wildcat Country. You guys just had Matt Muehlbach on the show. It's always a good time talking to our guy, Matt. Make sure you go check him out on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and also follow Eric Cohen on X.com. Eric, you're the best, man. Always a pleasure talking ball with you.
Justin, glad to be on with you and hope to have you on Wildcat Country again here soon.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Arizona versus KU on Saturday, man. Can't wait for the 2 p.m. matinee at McKale Center. We'll see if Arizona can avenge its loss from the game in Lawrence, Kansas. And we've got our guy, Damon Farrell from the AZ Wildcats podcast on PHNX. Damon, I know we initially pitched Farrell Fridays, but I'm glad that we were able to make it happen instead of getting you on the show yesterday. It was a good time with Kevin Thomas, man. But happy to have you on today's episode of Spears and Ali. How's it going, man?
Good, man. Apologies for yesterday. I had to just be a little bit fashionably late, Justin. But as I was saying to you before we just got started here, you weren't going to catch me lacking 2 days in a row. Woke up like the Undertaker this morning, just straight sprung out of bed, ready to go and ready to attack the day.
Man, well, let's start off with this. Well, you know what? You mentioned the Undertaker. And last hour, I said, with all these upgrades coming to Casino del Sol Stadium, we've got modernized video boards, we've got a better sound system, an updated sound system. So hopefully the sound sounds better during games, and hopefully that means maybe concerts are coming to Casino del Sol Stadium. And then they've also are changing the benches, moving from the Wildcats from the east sideline in front of the Zona Zoo over to the west side, which is the bottom of the TV screen. And then the lights, getting new lights so you can do kind of the light show a little bit. Maybe I want them to have red lights and turn this into like a Kane entrance. So Undertaker, Kane getting mentioned in the big 2026, what a show. But, just looking at all the upgrades that Arizona is bringing to its football atmosphere, what is the biggest one in your opinion?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Kevin and I actually had this exact same discussion yesterday, and I think we both kind of landed on the sideline change being the biggest advantage slash, I guess, disadvantage for your opponent, because it just feels like that's, in Tucson with the way that, the sun can beat down on you, and especially in the early parts of the football season when you're looking at like the September games, for example, Arizona got so many day games last year. Like, I know the running joke was, Arizona's only getting scheduled night games, and the football team kind of made like a funny spoof video out of it, but you ended up getting like a good half and half split. And, I think if you're going to get day games in Tucson, you want that sun to be on your side versus working against you there. So, yeah, I think that the sideline change is absolutely massive.
And it's going to be a lot of fun to see the visitors over in front of the Zona Zoo. Because Brent Brennan has told us, he's like, yeah, every time we're on the road, we're right in front of the students, and the students are always talking smack to us. So let's give it back to them. So in my opinion, I think that is the biggest update or the most significant update for Arizona this upcoming football season. Now, still sticking on the football side of things, the NFL Scouting Combine is currently in Indianapolis right now, and Genesis Smith, Dalton Johnson, Traden Stukes, they're out there representing the Cats. And I think, all three of those guys kind of have a unique path to the NFL. I think Genesis probably has the highest ceiling out of all those guys. But, if you were to tell me, if Justin, you could pick a special teams, a defensive back that you could put anywhere on the field, I maybe lean towards a guy like Traden Stukes, a guy who's got more experience and whatnot. And then a guy like Dalton Johnson, a little bit undersized, but if you look at his body frame, his ceiling could be like a guy like Budda Baker. I'm not saying he's going to be Budda Baker, but just frames, he could be that guy. I would imagine he's going to be a special teams guy, maybe practice squad guy, a guy that's going to grind his way to the NFL. I think all three will get a very fair shot at making the NFL. How do you look at these three guys and kind of what's next for them?
I feel like when you look at Traden Stukes in particular, he's been the one that's been the most on the rise when it comes to kind of the way that he ended the college football season to the way that I see him getting spoken about with draft analysts right now. And like the other day, for example, I'm just scrolling Twitter. Don't remember the account, but I remember that seeing just the Traden Stukes interception versus ASU from an NFL draft analyst saying, Traden Stukes is a guy that I would watch out for. Comments flooded with people being like, this is my most underrated mid-round defensive back. And I think that Traden Stukes is the type of player where, he can play nickel. He can play probably a little bit of boundary corner, maybe even a little bit of safety. But when he came back from his injury, he looked fantastic. And I think that he played himself into kind of a mid-round draft pick type of range. Genesis, I think, has always been there, if not even a little bit higher at portions of the season. Like Mel Kiper had him as like a, second, third round pick. And I think that we've seen him go as high as day 2 in mock drafts. We've seen him go as low as day 3, but I expect both Stukes and Genesis to probably get drafted. I think Dalton Johnson will be a UDFA guy, an undrafted free agent that kind of gets a little bit more of a choice to pick and choose what spot he wants to go to. Hopefully can find himself a franchise that maybe has a little bit of a hole at safety, or that gives him more of an opportunity to make the roster. Not to change sports on you, but Caleb Love or TJ McConnell style, like the guys that I think were clearly good enough to play in whatever respective league we're talking about here, but maybe needed that extra push of like, let me play on the 10-win 76ers if you're TJ McConnell, or let me go to the Portland Trailblazers, who absolutely stink, and now they're actually not that bad. But I think, great decisions out of guys like that. I think Dalton Johnson might be looking at something similar of like, let's pick and choose a spot that works best for me.
And I mean, I like the TJ McConnell, Caleb Love kind of path to the NFL. I mean, if you want to stick with football, the one player that comes to mind is a guy like Robert Golden, who played under Mike Stoops and was a really good defensive back. And then he went undrafted, played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and became a special teams captain for Pittsburgh. Dalton, that's how he got on the field at Arizona, for his ability to shine in the special team space. And so I think that Dalton, if he gets a fair shot, he's going to stick in the NFL. And another thing that that kind of bodes well for him is that, he's got such a nose for the football. And my colleague Michael Lev, he made this comparison on our last podcast. It's almost kind of like Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles a little bit. He may not be as long as DFF, but Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles was a safety and then turned into a linebacker when he got into the NFL. And if you look at Dalton Johnson, he's got experience playing linebacker from that 2024 season and has led Arizona in tackles in back-to-back seasons. So he's a tackling machine. I thought he improved as a pass coverage guy. And so, yeah, we'll see. I think that you're totally right, Damon. I think the situation totally matters for him, and maybe going undrafted will be better than being one of the last picks in the 7th round. But Damon, I do want to move over to the basketball side of things, man. We got a big time game coming up here on Saturday at McKale Center. I would probably lean towards Koa Pete maybe playing this week. Tommy Lloyd, Arizona's head coach, said that Koa Pete and Dwayne Aristode, who's been out with an illness, both of those guys practice. So it'd be nice to see those guys come back. And then with Darren Peterson back in the fold for Kansas, he was not available for that game in Lawrence. So with Darren Peterson back, Koa Pete, Dwayne Aristode potentially being back into the lineup, what's your gut telling you about Saturday?
My gut's telling me that Arizona is not the type of team, Tommy Lloyd's not the type of coach to lose to the same team in the same season twice. And so I especially at McKale Center, in front of your home fans, I just feel like, this one is kind of been marked on the calendar, for lack of a better phrase, by Arizona for, since they lost that first Kansas game. Because how could it not be? You have 2 losses on the season. That's the first team that took you out of your undefeated season. You were perfect until you played Kansas. I would guarantee that that's been a team that, they've wanted revenge against since that moment. And yeah, it feels like now you're starting to get a little bit more of your reinforcements back. It's been honestly, like the shorthanded run here, the last couple of games, has been remarkable, nothing short of remarkable. The fact that you're down Koa Pete, you're down Dwayne Aristode, you're playing C.D. Gay and Evan Nelson, expanding out the rotation, and you're getting wins over Houston and ranked BYU. I mean, it really is unbelievable, the just the whole season run that they've been on. But I think that now you're looking at this Kansas game, top 15 team in the country. Bill Self is, in my opinion, the single most prestigious coach in college basketball going right now. And so you have to have a lot of respect factor for that Kansas team, I think. But this isn't Big Monday, where Bill Self is 41-0. This isn't Fog Allen Fieldhouse, which is the toughest place to play in the country. And I think that those factors in particular are things that make me, or at least give me a little bit of confidence that Arizona is going to handle business in this one.
I think every season has its players that develop and just get significantly better, or maybe a little bit better over time. Who has been the most notable guy to make the improvements from game one up until now, in your opinion?
I think it's got to be Braden Burries, who really struggled the first 10 or so games of the year and has been Arizona's best player for the back 2/3 of this season. So I that might be the easy cop-out answer, because that was a guy that wasn't necessarily playing at his level earlier in the season. And I don't think that it necessarily was even quote unquote development that was his problem. I think it was maybe just more acclimating to the speed of playing college basketball. And I'm sure, that's a little bit more difficult for a guard like Braden Burries versus a big bruising power forward like Koa Pete, who's just going to dunk on your head. Right. So I think Braden Burries has probably seen the starkest contrast from what he was giving you in the beginning of the season to now. But I also just, how about a guy like Anthony Del Orso, who in the middle portions of this season had fallen off of an absolute cliff. If you looked at his stats before the BYU game, he was shooting under 30% from three, from your sharpshooter, a guy that in the early portions of the season was shooting close to 40% from three. And all of a sudden, that number just kept taking a slow dip through every game because he was just playing so poorly. And then the second that rotation shortens up and you need him to start taking more shots, start scoring more points, the guy steps up immediately. And I think that deserves a lot of credit as well.
That's our guy, Damon Farrell, a.k.a. Dame Dog, right here on ESPN Tucson, talking all things Arizona basketball with Spears and Ali. So what? Before we get you out of here, Damon, what's on the docket today? What are you guys discussing?
Yeah, we're going to do a full-scale Kansas preview on the AZ Wildcats podcast on the PHNX Sports Channel. Me, Kevin Thomas. We're going to give strengths and weaknesses like we do for every team for the Kansas Jayhawks. And then kind of just discuss some of maybe the more key matchups, battles in this game. And I usually defer to Kevin a little bit, pass the rock to him, and let him tell us how Arizona is going to get the job done in this one from a more schematic standpoint.
2:00 is when it's going down, right?
Yes, sir.
2 p.m. Go check them out. PHNX Sports, the AZ Wildcats podcast. Our guys, Damon Dog, Kevin Thomas. They do such a great job. I'll be tapped in at 2 p.m., man. Looking forward to the show, David. Thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate you, Justin. Till next time.